call tonight is going to be about how to have better seller conversations. And so, first thing I want to talk about is this concept of rapport. I think this is kind of the starting point because you hear that word a lot. It's like, hey, you got to build rapport. You got to build rapport with the homeowner. Um, can someone explain to me in their words what they feel like rapport is, and more importantly, maybe what it isn't? I'd be curious because we've heard a lot of different things.
Back and forth. So you're not monopolizing the conversation. That's a give and take. You're
Okay.
listening and responding.
Okay.
You want to
What else?
try, you want to try and mirror their personality, their emotion, everything, the style of communication, tonality, speed of conversation. You're
Hmm.
building a rapport. So you're instilling trust, even though trust comes with time.
That's right. So rapport is essentially trust. Does anyone else have anything to add on that? Or explain what maybe rapport is not? Okay, I'll share. So, my opinion, rapport is not talking about the weather. Hey, how's the weather up there in Atlanta? Everything good over there? How's is it? Oh, I heard it's like raining like crazy over there. That's being friendly. And I'm not saying there's necessarily a problem with it, but it doesn't necessarily help you either, right? So that's one thing. Two, asking about, oh my gosh, you're a Dallas Cowboys fan? Oh, me too. First off, you're a horrible person if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. But it's like, yeah.
No.
Okay. Trying to be just like likable, like there's nothing wrong with wanting to be like friendly and come across that way. But at the end of the day, they're not looking for another friend. What are they looking for? They're,
Guidance
pro-
and authority.
they're looking for guidance, they're looking for authority. They're looking for someone to solve their problem.
Right.
That's how you build rapport. Okay, so how do we do that? Asking great questions, questions that actually pertain to their problem and understanding their situation, right? Trying to understand it and showing that you're going to do your absolute best to solve their problem. Now, that doesn't mean directly me saying, I promise you, I'm going to do everything I can to solve your problem. Like, if someone said that to you, it'd kind of be like, can you even solve my problem? Like, it's more of like an indirect thing,
Yeah.
right? Like if someone comes to fix your car and they're like, I promise you I'm gonna do everything I physically can to fix your car. I'd be like, dude, you're weird, man. It's like it's just too much. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you can tell though with the questions that they ask about the car, oh, this person knows a lot about cars. He's asking the right questions. And it's the pain points and the problems that I'm currently experiencing. The fact that he even knew to ask that tells me he's done this before. That's what we're looking for. All right. So let's go ahead and move on. Obviously, authority matters here because homeowners that we're talking to are generally stressed. They usually have some kind of big problem going on in their life. They're probably overwhelmed, right? That's a big piece of this, and they're unsure of like what options they even have available to them. So, yes, they need empathy and they need someone to be able to sit there with them in the moment in hard times, but more importantly, they need guidance and leadership, right? Because there's a time and a place to be empathetic. There's also a time and a place to challenge and not just buy into the story that they're telling you, right? Does everyone agree with that? Like if let's say I'm talking to Cindy, right? And Cindy's a good friend of mine, and Cindy's like, hey, um, Evan, I just feel like you really should, if you want to lose weight, you said you want to lose weight, you should eat healthier. And I'm like, well, Cindy, it's just like, gosh, it's like I'm so busy. It's like having to go to the grocery store is like so tough. Like I just is she a good friend if she's just like, "Oh yeah, that is tough. Like you shouldn't worry about it." I
No.
was like, "No." It's like you should be like, "Well, like why don't you make time for it?
hmm
Is it a real priority for you? Like how long have you been wanting to lose weight for?
hmm
How bad is it affecting the rest of your life?" That kind of thing, right? That's what true leadership is. It's not just buying into the story that they've told themselves for years about why they can't fix this problem or blah 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 blah. Whatever it is, right? So in this presentation, I'm going to give you number one, the four pillars that I feel like you need to understand in order to close a deal. Two, questions you can use so you don't feel so confused when talking to sellers. I'll get into that a little bit more. How to stop sounding so robotic and just reading a script. I don't know if anyone else in this group has felt that way, but at times if you're reading a script, it can be challenging to kind of feel like, how do I make this my own? versus it feel like something I'm just reading. And this is the important part is like deals are closed below the surface, not by just throwing out an offer. Can you close deals by just making offers? Yes, of course you can. Can you close more deals by getting below the surface? Absolutely. Right. So obviously, if you've been in real estate long enough, you've heard this, but the four pillars, real quick, are going to be motivation. So why are they really selling? Okay. Not the surface reason they tell you, but what's the underlying reason? Right. So one quick question you can ask is, what's caused you, I guess, to look at possibly selling the property? Notice I said what's caused you to look at selling the property. What does that imply? Well, there's something going on maybe that's causing you to sell it, right? One way that we ask it too is like, hey, if you have a moment, just tell me a little bit about the property, just kind of what you got going on with it. Kind of implies like they probably have something going on with it. It kind of leaves it open. So that's kind of two different ways that you can ask that question. Now let's press pause here. Do we have questions on motivation or different ways to ask this before we move on?
I'll jump in.
Yeah, please do.
So this is interesting for me because not always is motivation I guess seen as like a negative.
Hmm.
Meaning like the reason for their motivation is not necessarily a negative one all the time. So
Hmm.
I've dealt with one scenario where it was a negative situation. They couldn't sell the property. It was a little wonky. It was zone strange, all this kind of stuff. It sat on the market for months and months and months and months.
Hmm.
I'm in a newer deal, which I actually just sent a proposal letter yesterday, letter of intent yesterday for a creative finance offer. And
Great.
but this particular motivation, from what I learned, surface, right? There's always like underneath the surface reasons. But
Right.
the seller she ran a dental practice, so she's retiring, and her business is for sale, and it's just time for her to like step away. I think she's fine financially, um,
Hmm.
and I mean, there logistically there is like the strangeness of like a dental office slash residential property. So
Hmm.
most buyers don't understand that component. So I think, that's an
Mm,
advantage for me as like an interested party. But
yeah. Hmm.
so like there is motivation there for sure. It's just I
Hmm.
don't know like how my question would be, what do you do with motivation if it's not negative all the time, Like
Yeah. No, that is literally an incredible critical question. Because that's like you're thinking like really high level. Because most people wouldn't even notice that that's a thing. And I think what you can do is number one, you can see most of the time if it looks positive to you, they're still trying to avoid something negative. Like for me, it's like I want to get healthy, but what am I trying to avoid? Right? Living a life where I feel horrible, where I feel sick, blah, blah, blah. If I don't change anything, that's what's going to happen. So I think you can think about it sometimes in terms of that. But I also think that the question could just change a little bit. So, like for you, it could be something like, okay, well, I mean, it sounds like things are going fairly well for you. I mean, for you, like, what do you feel like? Can you explain to me maybe the rationale behind maybe wanting to look at working with an investor versus just putting it on the market? That would be some kind of motivation. Like, why would she take a discount? I mean, obviously, as an investor, we can't pay what most people can afford to pay. So you're exchanging some kind of discount for the convenience of the sale. So like maybe help me understand just like the rationale behind that. That you could probably see the motivation clearly. And if they're just like, well, I just don't want to pay agent commissions, it's like, well, you're probably not that motivated, you know? And if you ask that, you might actually get a good answer. Hopefully that helps. I don't know. But I think that's an incredible question. Um, anything else on that? Any other thoughts? Because that is
So
true. It's not
what are some
always
like
negative on the surface.
yeah. What are some like bad answers that you get from clients or from sellers where you're like, man, I gotta dig deeper versus just taking it at
Mm,
surface level?
that's good. You probably have some good answers for that, honestly. So for anyone that doesn't know this in the group, Marcelo is like literally one of my best friends, but also he's helped me out a ton. on the transaction management side of these deals, and also like helped me close more deals than I'd like to admit, especially in the beginning. So he knows a lot about this stuff. And he's getting into real estate investing, and yeah, he's gonna crush it. But I feel like one of the things that we hear um on the front end, if we ask, it's kind of different because we're working with people that we know are have a serious problem, like foreclosure or like probate or that kind of thing. So it's like it's a little bit easier of an answer, even though we still want to dig into like what's their reason. It could be, just because they have a foreclosure doesn't mean they're motivated,
Right.
ironically. Like we've seen that time and time again. So I just feel like if someone's not willing to clarify, or if they have all these multiple things where they're like, I'm good, like I could keep the property, I'm open to selling it, I'm not in like any kind of hurry, like it's not a big deal, like that kind of thing. It's like we kind of pull away hard, or we're just like, hey, like sounds like you're good. Like, I mean, like, are you like, I guess like 100% like happy with like where you're at right now? And a lot of times at that point, if you say 100%, most people are not 100% of anything. So they'll be like, well, I'm not 100%. Well, like, what's holding you back from being 100% though? And then they'll kind of tell you, well, it's because like I want to do this and that. And then you kind of dig in deeper. Do you have any thoughts on that or things that you've heard?
Yeah. So the deal that I bought in Tennessee, the seller had actually transacted with a sub two type of deal in the past, and unfortunately, that buyer defaulted, and then
Mm,
he recaptured the property, and then he was like, I don't know what to do. Like it's just he had a bad feeling for it. So then I asked him, I was like, okay, so if you're looking for a buyer who's looking to do a similar structure, why would you even consider that? And his answer was, well, I got to move. I have no, I don't want to be
mm,
involved in this property. And then I don't know,
yeah.
my thought was like, yeah, I mean, you can move, but you can also rent the property. I mean, it's in good condition. You can probably find a tenant pretty quickly. Why not just
Yeah.
do that? And then he had such a bad taste of working with an investor. And on top of that, he didn't resonate or identify as an investor himself. So it just didn't align with his personal values and what he felt like was worth his time. So that's
Yeah.
why he was willing to just walk away from I think it's like a 2.3% interest rate
Wow.
um, for 10 grand, and then just off he went. So even though he had a bad experience with another investor. So
That's
my thought
really good.
process, like, yeah, you don't want to be an investor. That's probably a bigger point versus, trying to make them understand why
Hmm.
not to do it. Yeah. I don't know. That was my,
Yeah, no, you're so right. Well, because like what did Marcelo do there? He asked, well, like why don't you just rent the property? Why don't you just maybe list it on the market? Like there's multiple things you can ask. And I think sometimes we're scared to ask those because we're like, oh my gosh, like what if they do say, oh, I'll just do that? But the reality is like that means it's not your person anyways. And okay, honestly, think about this. This helped me a lot when I heard this. You really think they haven't thought about listing with a realtor?
yeah.
Like you really think that hasn't crossed their mind, or that they could rent the property? Like, do you think these people are just like have no brain cells? Like they've
Some of
thought
them.
about it. I promise
Sorry.
you, they've thought about it. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're
Yeah.
you're you're also establishing like a level of transparency as well, with the
Hmm.
seller. You're kind of like, you're removing that like veil of I don't know, scrutiny or so that sellers have
Yeah.
dealing with like investors. And so if
Hmm.
you're providing essentially answers to like their problem solutions to their problem, right? And they're still, like Marcelo was saying, you can just rent this property or you can do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. And then
Spot on.
I think it kind of establishes a level of trust. So
Yeah, you're removing like the bias from it. You don't look as biased. And hopefully you're not. Hopefully you are more detached from the outcome, right? You do because it is partly, I mean, it's a skills game, but it also is a numbers game to some degree. To some degree. You can increase your skill and make less calls over time and get more deals, but you're still gonna have to talk to people. You can't force motivation, right? So second thing is going to be condition. So what shape is the property actually in? So what I like to ask is something really simple, like, hey, so what repairs or updates are needed on the house? Or hey, what repairs or updates do you feel like a buyer may want on the house? Something like that. Just keep it really like short and sweet. That's how I ask it. And let them just talk. So like, hey, there's this thing that needs to happen. There's this thing, and like maybe this and that. Okay, and like anything else? Oh, well, there's also this thing, and like what else? And what else? And what else? And you just keep going until they finish. Yeah, that's about it. Okay. Now, everything that they haven't answered that you have questions on, then you can ask that. So it's like, okay, so tell me about like the age of the roof, like roughly. Oh, 10 years. Okay, what about the HVAC? What about the electrical, the plumbing? And then you can kind of get into some of these specific things that you want to know more about. But for the most part, they're going to cover a lot of the stuff that they feel like has been needed. Now, you are going to have some people that are going to be like, "Oh, you just slap some paint on it and you're good." And it's like those are always the worst houses that we get. It's always the worst. Oh, just painted it, it'll be beautiful. Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh gosh, this is gonna be a $90,000 rehab. I already know it. So that's how I'd ask that. Um, Next thing is gonna be timeline. So obviously this is one of the most valuable things a lot of times we can bring to the table is the speed of the deal while also having the convenience. So in a just an ideal world, how soon were you hoping to close? Like short and sweet. And I'm trying to keep this simple because I think sometimes we can like have this like these long scripts that are like 30 questions long, that we like find on a YouTube channel and then like put our email in and they send it to us and it's like, gosh, like I don't even know what to say. And I'm telling you right now, like our script, because you'll see this in a second, our script is not just 4 or 5 questions because we ask more questions based off of the answers they give us. But like, so it's like a tree, right? So it's like you're going up the tree. It's like question one, question two. They say something. I'm going to branch off a little bit. I'm going to branch off maybe again, but at some point I got to come back to the tree and go to question three, right? So you don't want to have 30 questions like lined up. That's just not how I do it, at least, right? So there you go. There's that. And then really the last thing is the price, right? I like to ask this last because throughout the conversation, you want to build value, right? If you ask price on the front end, it's like, how much do you want for the house? Like, you haven't really like shown where you can bring value, like that you can close quickly, that you can buy it as is. Oh, we can take care of the roof. That's not a problem. Like those kind of things. Now, when they talk about price, they're taking those things into account, right? So that's how I like to do it. And ideally, what we do is we ask them like, hey, roughly how much of a mortgage is left on the property so that we can separate their walkaway number versus just saying, what do you want total in price? Okay. So like, how much is on the mortgage roughly, 100 grand. Okay. So, considering we're going to buy the house as is, that we're paying all the closing costs, that we can close in 14 days like you wanted, like how much were you actually hoping to walk away with at the closing table? That's the question, right? Can anybody tell me why do we separate it and why do we give them a walkaway number versus just talking about price? What's the importance of that?
I'll take a guess, a wild guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
No wrong answers.
I would assume you want to make sure that they're taken care of to some degree. Like they're probably going to
Yes.
want to move somewhere, relocate, I don't know, pay off a car, pay off a credit card.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Right.
Um,
Spot on.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What else? That's really good.
I think if you present like a walkaway number,
Hmm.
it might feel more tangible to them. So like as an example, let's say you're buying a house for, $250,000,
Yeah.
but there's a $200,000 loan on it. You say, I can give you, 250,000, they might feel one type of way about it. But if you say, after accounting for, the loan, you're going to walk away with 50 grand in your pocket, that might, you know, feel more exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Some people aren't able to like they haven't really thought about that. They're just like, "Oh, I think my property is worth that." So it's kind of hard to conceptualize for some people. And so I think if you can say that, "Oh, how much are you hoping to walk away with?" "Oh, like I would love 50,000, right?" Well, okay, I understand like you would love 50,000, but like what are you actually like needing? There's kind of a difference there between like what do you want, what are you hoping for, which is like why we ask what are you hoping for at closing at first. And then later on it's like, okay, but like considering we're buying it this way, is that the least you would take? Like, is that the lowest you would go? Is that the best you could do? Can you see yourself doing any better than X? Like, is there any flexibility on that? Like, there's different ways to ask it, but like you're getting that walkaway number. And sometimes what we'll do is we'll literally break it down where if people are like, I just don't know, I do not know what I need to walk away with. Well, let's kind of walk through it. Like, so you got first and last month's rent. You'd like to have some money in reserves. Like, how much would you like to have in reserves? Okay, cool. And like you said, you need to buy a new car. Like, how much is the car going to be? And you can kind of break their walkaway number that way too, which is what we're actually solving problems. We're not just like giving them a blanket offer, right? So there's that. And then also the last thing is when you do that, it allows you to transition to creative a lot easier because instead of you giving them like a cash price and a creative price, so hey, I can give you a low cash offer here or I can give you a high creative offer here. I don't like that. I like telling them how we're going to do it. Sorry, that sounds really like controlling or whatever, but it's just the truth because if you give people too many options, they just get kind of confused and they're like, eh. So if you tell them, hey, I know you want 30,000, I think I can do that for you, but we're going to have to do it this way.
Yeah.
Then it makes more sense why you're asking for that creative thing versus just saying, hey, I think it'd be cool if we did this sub two thing. Right? It just doesn't make sense. Versus if you like put that out in front of them, they'll be like, oh, well, if this gets me 30,000, like that sounds okay, you know? So there you go. That's just I'm trying to just drop in some little things that we've learned. But again, real deals are made when you uncover the real motivation, but you also the important part is you're helping the seller see their situation clearly. Okay, I think this is super like something I didn't pick up on when I first started. And honestly, Cindy, Griffin, Amir, and I on the team, like we still have to work through this all the time, where we have to get them to see their situation. So instead of us telling them, we want to ask them questions so that they tell themselves. Because a lot of times, like if someone tells you something, it's like, how likely are you to do it? You might be, but if someone asks you a question and then you're like, well, yeah, like I've really struggled with, I'm just using my example. I really struggled with eating junk for years. It's like now I just acknowledged that, which is very important. And I'm also seeing the situation a little more clearly. And then we delve into that. It's even more. It's like, oh gosh, I didn't even realize how bad this situation actually was. Like an analogy that I love is like if you go to the doctor, right? And you just say, hey, my head's hurting. And they're like, okay, well, here's some medicine. There you go. Which is what most doctors do, sadly. But, if they don't do that, a good doctor will say, well, like, how long has your head been hurting for? What's been going on? Like, where is it hurting? How bad is it? Like, is it pulsing or is it like a sharp pain? And they're asking you these questions, and all of a sudden, maybe they find out, like, oh, shoot, you have some issue with your brain, or you have some whatever, right? Because they diagnose what the real problem is, and you can actually see it, right? They're not just giving some blanket prescription, right? So that's super important. So here's one of the pet peeves that really, really gets to me, and like it makes me want to throw up. Okay. Imagine like, and this is how we talk to sellers. Like, imagine you have a close friend, like me and Marcelo are talking, right? And I'm like, Marcelo, like my life has just been recently, it's just been hell. Like, I went through a divorce, I'm going to bankruptcy. And he was just like, gotcha, that makes total sense. So let me ask you. And they just go to the next question.
Right.
How many of us in the group have done that before when a seller says something? Oh my
For
gosh,
sure.
life has just been so stressful. Oh, Griffin or Marcelo, I totally understand where you're coming from. No, you don't. You don't understand. Shut up. Right? Do you really understand what they mean? No, you don't. We barely understand what we mean when we say stuff.
Yeah.
When I say I'm stressed, like I'll call Marcelo sometimes. I'll be like, dude, I'm just so stressed. He's like, what are you stressed about? I'm like, I don't even know. I just got a lot going on,
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that's how we want to do. So these real conversations that we have with sellers, they require clarifying, right? So, what are some ways that we can clarify what someone means? Let's go ahead and ask that to the group. Give me one example of a way that you can clarify something because you don't want to assume what they mean. What's the
Ask,
way
what do
we-
you mean?
Yeah.
What
Wow.
do you
That
mean
was
by
hard.
that?
Yeah. What do you mean by that? Right?
There's a phrase I've used multiple times, and it's, can you tell me more about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell me more about that.
How do you
Right?
feel about that? Why do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Feel,
Exactly.
felt, found, old school.
Yes. Exactly. You can ask that. You can ask, what do you mean? You could also, people have talked about like mirroring, right? Where you're like stressed. Like it kind of implies like, oh, he didn't understand what I said. Let me like expound on that more. Like, I'm just so overwhelmed. Overwhelmed? Like, oh, you know, right? You can kind of go into that way, um, with like an upward inflection, right? Or like how I like to ask is, hey, just so I have some more context, like, what do you mean by stress? Right? And you'd be surprised sometimes, like the things you can ask if you just preface it by saying, like, hey, just so I have some context. It like kind of gives a reason. Like, I used to, whenever I had like a really tough question to ask, like for example, I used to be scared to ask what someone's mortgage is because I had a couple people be like, that's none of your business, right? And I got like fearful about it. So then what I started saying is like, hey, just so I have some context here, like how much is left on the mortgage? Like nobody ever gave me that objection again. It was weird. I don't know. I guess if you give people a reason, they're just like, okay. So so that's a good way to ask that. Now, there's kind of a four-step framework that I like to use when it comes to some of these emotional words, right? So if someone says stress, what's another example?
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed,
Yeah.
anxious, sad, angry, could even be happy, right? Like what are those things? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have them clarify. So, yeah, I'm just so stressed, Evan. Stress or like what? Sorry, how do you mean by stress? Okay, they're gonna say, "Well, Evan, you wouldn't believe, man. Well, tell me about it." Well, we've had, and I'm gonna give you an actual example of what someone told us recently, which just tells you we have no idea what people actually mean. Like we assume, oh, they're in foreclosure, so that's what's going on. It's the financial stress. I asked this person, I said, "How do you mean by stress?" And she goes, "Oh my goodness. So I don't even know where to start." And I said, "Well, just start somewhere, wherever you feel like it's helpful." And she's like, "Well, it's been tough because my husband will get up in the middle of the night and he'll sleepwalk. And because of the stress, he never has done that before. But he's been so stressed that he'll sit up out of the bed and he'll fall over and he'll hit his head on the wall." And now, let me ask y'all this. Is that good for me to know? And is it more importantly good for them to see that? That like how this is affecting their lives versus just being like, "Oh, everything's okay. It's all good." It's not all good, right? So how do you mean by stress? I would have never guessed that, right? Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Your husband's hitting his head on the wall. Like I never would have said that, right? Okay. I got Cindy with that one. That's good. So, okay, now they say that, right? Oh my goodness. Well, how long has that been going on for? What does this do? It helps them to see their real situation, how long it's been going on for, right?
Mm.
And then you can just flat out ask them, okay, with that stress, I mean, going on for the last 6 months, like, what's that doing to you? How's that affecting you? Right? Okay, now some of y'all are gonna look at this and be like, that's too touchy-feely, or no one's gonna go for that, or whatever you think. And it's like the point isn't to get them to go for something because we're not tricking them into anything. Like, if nothing's happening, then these questions don't do anything, right? They have a problem. You've asked them what they mean by it, how long it's been going on for, what it's doing to them. And most people will say, it's killing me. It's literally killing me. I don't know what I'm going to do. Now, when they're at that point, I'm going to ask them a question. So time to make a change, possibly. What am
Brilliant.
I trying to do there?
Brilliant. You're getting them
I'm trying.
to see reality and see how it's affecting them so that they
Yeah.
can make a change and realize they don't have to stay in that.
Mm-hmm. I'm giving them like hope. It's like, look, so it's time to make a change, possibly. Right? Because ultimately, if we're going to help somebody, we have to get them to commit. Griffin and I were just talking about this morning. It's like, what is commitment? Commitment is committing to something and saying no to almost basically everything else. And so when we have these people, this is really good for the people that are kind of wishy-washy. Has anyone on this call ever had a seller that you're talking to them and they're like, well, I've kind of thought about renting it. I've kind of thought about listing it. Like, we have so many options. Like, it's just not, it's not a problem. Right? Oh, well, I mean, it sounds like everything's going pretty well for you. Like, I mean, are you like 100% happy with how things are going? I'm not 100%. Well, what's keeping you from being 100%? Well, like, I mean, things have been kind of stressful. Well, how do you mean by stress though? Well, I mean, it's just been, that I got the property manager and I'm dealing with them, right? And I'm living out of state now. And so, oh, you're living out of state. Where are you living now? I'm living in North Carolina. Notice I'm branching out. I'm not doing the tree. I'm branching out. Oh, okay. So how long have you been in North Carolina? Oh, it's been 3 years. Okay, got it. And what was the problem with the property manager? Oh, well, I mean, he's been, oh my gosh, he's stole money from us. He's done that. Oh my goodness. How long has that been going on for? Literally 2 years. Wow, 2 years. What's that doing to y'all? Oh my gosh. It's been a pain in my side. I feel like I can't focus on my job. I feel like I can't do this. I can't do that. Oh, okay, got it. So time to make a change possibly, or time to maybe sell the property.
Can
You
I say
notice how
something
that
right there?
conversation is different? Yeah, yeah.
What we talk about. That's beautiful because I can grasp the empathy and asking those questions, but then I'm like,
hmm
where do I make the transition? So
hmm
that last question it's a perfect setup for, well, time for a change then, possibly time for a change. So that's
hmm
that transition phrase that takes you on up the tree
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why do we say possibly?
because you don't want to command that they make it or make it something they have to do, right?
Oh,
They're
so
making a
so
choice.
yeah, Cindy, so it's time to sell the property?
Well,
That's
no, I don't
that's
know.
blunt. I didn't say I
Yeah,
was going to sell the property.
right.
Time to maybe look at selling the property, or at least take a deeper look into selling it. Yeah, I think so. Time to
Hmm.
possibly have a conversation around selling the property. Yeah,
And
right.
what you just did then, Evan, is you demonstrated the importance of tonality in the context of the conversation. Because you
Hmm.
can ask the same question and it can be perceived in a different way.
Yeah.
Tonality you've demonstrated throughout this call is vitally important.
hmm
Absolutely right, Martin. So true.
hmm You're so that's wisdom right there for sure. And I would say a couple other things real fast, or like some transitions, like what Cindy just said that I really like. There's kind of like two different frameworks that you can use for this. So like once you've gotten to that point where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've said those four things, then from there, if they're kind of like, well, I'm just not sure, or they're a little uncertain, it's like, how do we get them over the hump then? All right. One of my favorite that lands really, really well is to ask what's riskier.
Mm.
So obviously you'd have to have some kind of situation. I'm just going to make up a situation in my head. So, and this is kind of how you're going to ask it. So I guess, and you want to ask for permission too. It's like, you don't want to just go right into this. Uh, it's like, hey, Jordan, can I ask you something? Yeah, what's up? So, I mean, I guess with everything you've explained to me, like, I guess, like, what do you feel like is riskier for you? Like, do you feel like it's riskier for you to, and notice I'm kind of pausing, right? You want to slow this down. Like, do you feel like it's riskier for you to, I guess, try and like list it with a realtor and like hope that it sells in time before, the auction date? I know it's in 3 weeks, and maybe potentially risk, not walking away with any cash and not having a place to go, or do you feel like it's riskier to, at least take a certain offer, someone that can actually give you the cash, give you time in the home, and make sure that you can actually avoid the foreclosure so you'll have a safe place to go? Like in reality, like what do you feel like is riskier for you? That is a hard question to answer. What are they going to say? Oh, I feel like it's riskier for me to take the for sure cash and have a safe place to live. Right? It's like, I mean, that's a tough one to answer, right? And some people will literally be like, I've literally heard people on calls be like, man, because like they know that it's the truth. It's kind of like you got me, and it's the point isn't to get you. And if you ever have someone say that, like, oh, like you got me on that one, it's like, no, the point isn't to get you, it's to help you. So like, which one is riskier for you? And just ask them again. Or if they say, I don't know, well, what if you really thought about it though? Like it's just between us, like off the record. I'm not recording this and put it on Instagram, right? Like, which one is riskier for you? You know, and have them answer it. And if they say, well, I think I need to probably go ahead and sell it. Okay, so where do you want to go from here? Right? And you can kind of like lead it into that. So that's one way you can ask that. Second thing is asking a consequence question. So like I guess like Cindy, what happens if if you continue to wait, like we have the last 4 or 5 months, like, and you don't do anything about this though, and things just stay the same or they get worse, like what would you do then? Just ask them flat out, right?
Yeah.
And you have to in context use the things they've told you, right? It'd be like if Cindy asked me, and by the way, I feel like I'm pretty healthy. I don't have a problem with this. I'm using this as an example. I sound like I'm like it's something I've been focusing on recently though, so that's why I'm bringing it up. Like it'd be like Cindy asking me, well, like Cindy, I mean, or Evan, like what happens if you don't start working out and you don't start eating healthy and like you don't do anything about this and like your health gets worse, you have medical bills that go up, like what would you do then? You know? And it comes back to tone again, what Martin said. It's like, what kind of tone am I using? What do you feel when I ask that question?
Very empathetic, caring. You really
Yeah.
care for me. You want the best.
Mm-hmm. And I do. And I
Mm.
think everyone in this group does too, which is the whole point of this group is to be
Mhm.
ethical and take care of people. Yeah. Yeah, Martin, please.
Very quick.
Yeah.
The gentleman I follow called Jeremy Minor, and he's
Mm-hmm.
a specialist on tonality. And one
Yeah.
thing he emphasizes when you're trying to provide a caring tone, just try it next time you speak to someone over the phone and put your hand on your heart. So what does that mean to you?
Yeah.
And you
Dude, I almost cried when you asked me that, bro. You got Martin's got that like just that accent that just like it's like I don't even know. I feel like I need to sell my house now. I don't Sorry.
I'm here
Go
putting my
ahead.
hand on my heart.
Yeah, I was like,
That really
dude,
works.
gosh. Yeah.
seriously
Dang.
try it with your significant other.
Yeah.
Just out the blue. Oh, darling, what what does that mean to you?
Mm,
And it
yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
be amazed.
Dude, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, no, and you're so right. Like there's certain things with our body language that we do, and it's like very I don't this is kind of a weird topic to talk about sometimes, like tonality, because I think it can come across from the outside as like it's manipulative. And I do think that people use this in the wrong way. I do think that. So I'm not saying that I think it's something that you use, at least I'll speak for me. It's something that in our company that we believe that we're using to help people. And if we ever get to the point where we feel like we're doing it to like fear monger unnecessarily with something that's not a real problem, right? Or something like that to get what we want, like I'm done. Like that's not who I want to be. Yeah. Yeah, Martin,
Yeah,
please.
on that point, I completely agree. You've got to be authentic. And if
Yeah.
you think about where we are in this conversation right now, let's say you've been speaking with the seller for over an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You genuinely, they've unleashed their entire emotions to you, and you could come back with a suggestion about the consequence. And, what, how do you feel? What
Mm-hmm.
if that were to continue? What would that mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
Because by that time, you've already built that rapport. There's trust being built. There's an emotional connection that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
But be
100%.
authentic. Whenever you use tonality, be authentic.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I for everyone in this on this call, first off, appreciate you being here. Hopefully this has been helpful, but I want to be able to have some Q&A. It could be about this, it could be about anything creative finance. Just to kind of open it up. Even if someone wants to like role play like a little bit of a section or part of it. Alex, I actually pretty much did the Zoom call for you because I know that you had asked about and by the way, when I post in the group, I'm like, hey, what do y'all want to hear about? Like, I'm taking that seriously, and we're gonna do a Zoom call or video about it. So hopefully this feels less confusing. It's like hopefully you can kind of pinpoint. It's like, okay, I really only need to have 4 or 5 main things I need to understand pillar wise, but then off of that, I need to build a connection with this person, right?
Yeah, and like I think would be a helpful exercise for me would be just to like kind of draw that like question tree,
Hmm.
what you're describing earlier, and then what are the different branches? and just kind of think more about that structure and just know, obviously, like, when I'm on the phone, when I'm talking with a prospect, or I'm the one who's in control, and
Hmm.
I'm the one who's knowledgeable, I'm the subject matter expert,
Hmm.
and there's really no pressure on me because I'm not the one who's staring down the barrel of foreclosure.
Mm. Yeah.
I think what's so
Well,
beautiful too about Evan, what he's sharing with us, Alex, and everybody, is listening to him on calls and watching him in action. I realized, especially if you're newer at getting on calls,
mhm.
you can, if you have a good personality, you may tend to lean on that. And when you lean on that and you know how to have good rapport, conversation, whatever,
Yeah.
you can go off on these bunny trails though about, oh, is that a dog in the background? Oh, wow, I have dogs. I love dogs, and you're kind of relying on that. And I always noticed Evan would interject maybe for 30 seconds. Oh, like I played basketball at that. Yeah, it's something personal, but he was always back off the branch onto the tree. And I didn't really describe it that way, but I always knew he had in mind from A to Z and he never deviated. But he got in the empathy and he was listening and some personal things, but he knew where he was leading the conversation, which is what
Mm,
I love about it. This whole thing, you just explained. Frankly, I think this is gold right here for
mm.
everybody. I really do.
I'm glad. Thanks for saying that. And Cindy and Griffin and Amir are incredible. Like on the phone. And one day, if we can feel good enough about this, I think it'd be fun to do like some back and forth, like role play and stuff in front of people, so we can kind of like hear how that conversation goes. And I think we could do that, and it'd be like low pressure. And even for everyone in the group, like we could do that. And it's not anything crazy. It's like for us, we're here to learn and grow and not be perfect. And so it's like I'm just trying to give examples of things to ask, right?
Yeah.
And like what Cindy said, you don't want to get too far off, right? Where it's like, you're
Yeah.
like it's a counseling session, right? But like I do think that part's important, and I think a lot of people miss that. And I think that's why it's hard to negotiate, because they haven't built any kind of what Martin said with Jeremy, right? You haven't built any kind of gap between like where they are and where they want to be. Right here it's this, and so it's like I want full retail, right? Oh, my husband has hit his head on the wall. Um, I need to get to Florida in 2 weeks because of the job. There's other bills I got to pay off, and it's just been brutal. It's like you're building that gap. And the bigger a gap you have, the more perceived value that you bring,
Yeah.
right? Which means what? Most likely, the more willing they are to work with you on the price or getting good terms, which
Yeah.
is what this group's about.
And I think something, I guess you can learn it because I think sometimes when you're young and you're new, or I don't even know if it matters if you're young,
Mhm.
you're after the money, the commission breath Jeremy Meyer talks about.
Yeah.
But you have to really care about people, like really care, and I
Mhm.
think we've all had on our team deals where we made nothing, but we helped them resolve it. And it was just the
Yeah.
best feeling in the world. Um, but I know Evan to his core truly cares. And I know that comes through in conversations, your
Mhm.
intent. So that's super important too.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, and there's so many. I think what for an encouragement for everyone here too is like those moments that you're tested, right? Where you could do something that is unethical, the right thing, the wrong thing, and nobody's watching. To me, those are the moments that it's like I see myself placing like a physical deposit into my character, into the world, into whatever. So that whenever I meet the next person, I can't remember the last time someone asked me, "Where's your proof of funds? How do I know I can trust you? How do I know that you have the money?" I cannot remember the last time someone asked me that.
Hmm.
And when I first started, all the time.
Hmm.
It's because I didn't have the confidence. But where does the confidence come from, right? It doesn't just come from you faking it. It's like
Hmm.
I know, like if someone asks me I'm trustworthy, I'm not going to be like, well, we have 125 Google reviews. I
Yes.
literally, if someone asked me that, I would just say, hey, that's up to you to make that decision. I'm here for you. I know who I am, and if you want my help, I'd be happy to help you.
Awesome.
I'm trustworthy. I don't have to prove it,
Hmm.
right? All of us. Jordan, what's up, man?
So that's good. It also kind of reinforces like your piggy bank of good deeds. So
Hmm.
you're also able to like for example, I actually So in my scenario, I helped some homeowners out of foreclosure, and it just, you know, that was it. Like I didn't do any deals or
Awesome.
anything with them. And but on my next call, next lead or so, I was able to refer to that, like, hey, I just helped a homeowner out of foreclosure this,
Mm,
this past
yes,
set,
dude.
you know.
Yeah.
So it kind of reinforced that. But
Amen.
my question is, one, is the list going to be available somehow? Like the PDF you have? Right, the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I can post that. I usually post the call recording
Okay.
in
Okay.
the group, but I could copy and paste it and put it in there.
Gotcha. Just curious. And
Yeah, that's fine.
then my next question is, how do you get through, let's say you come across a lead that is not necessarily a foreclosure, but it could be let's say a traditional MLS listing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason you think it would be a good idea to do creative finance. How do you get through agents and attorneys? Because usually these are like roadblocks before you can get to actual seller.
Good question. Um, First, I go in the kitchen and I throw up because I hate working with agents and attorneys now. No, I'm joking. So I do that, get that out of my system, and then from there, um, that's a good question. We used to call agents. That's like all that we did. Actually, we just did direct agent and we got sub two deals and like that crushed for a while. Honestly, it was solid. Um, it's so tough now, like, and not necessarily like the conversation is different, but I feel like you have to have almost so many conversations with agents that you don't know that
Yeah.
it's like I feel like the agent model is almost better when you can like not almost, it is better when you can build relationships and like they see you on Facebook and Instagram and it's like people that you know and then they bring you so two deals. That's what
Right.
happens now and like that's so much easier. So when you're calling specifically for that property or the listing, how can you called any agents about that yet? Like could you tell me a little bit
Yeah,
about like
so
the
I'll
intro?
be a little bit more specific. So
Yeah.
in my scenario, I have a let's say a pending, prospect. So I went out, met the agent, did the tour of the property. He kind of, just gave me the rundown. And I knew the property was on the market for extremely long time. It's actually zone commercial.
Mm,
And it's a it's being used as a dental office, but it's actually zoned residential, right? Residential two, R2.
mm,
So the multifamily, not, decent area of town. Uh,
yeah.
so I knew that there's benefits there. Um, Now the part that I had to figure out and do more homework on, which I later found out was, um, all this pretty much everything that all of the four pillars, I was able to figure those out by just doing a walkthroughs and meeting with the realtor. So in that scenario, it was helpful. And
Yeah.
realtors, representing the seller, obviously, not necessarily my interest, but um,
Right.
so then the ball kind of was thrown in my court in terms of like, what is my next move? So how do we move, how do we like
Yeah. Well, so you're only gonna make a creative offer?
in this particular scenario, yes. Well, okay, so the first step was I drafted a letter of intent. I sent that
Uh-huh.
to the realtor, and in return, they're going to share that directly with the seller.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't heard. This was just yesterday. Haven't heard
Okay.
anything back yet, but
Mm-hmm.
he did kind of mention that he mentioned the term creative finance or seller finance to the seller. And
Oh.
he was like somewhat lukewarm to it. Like she wasn't super excited, but she was like willing
Mm.
to hear um,
Okay.
what that could
Yeah.
potentially
Well,
be.
yeah, and that's the weird part with agents is like because with sellers, like we don't make offers and stuff, so we try to get their number and like whittle it
Right.
down. So with an agent, it is kind of tough unless you can get like on a three-way call with the seller, which is what I used to do. I'd be like, hey, let's just hop on a call with, blah blah.
Right.
But sometimes that's not always possible, depending on the agent, right? So what I would do is in this case is I would submit a probably a pretty low cash offer. Um, and then just be like, hey, what were your thoughts on it? And like get on a call with the agent. Be like, what were their thoughts? Be like, oh, it was just like too low. It's like, well, like too low. Like, what were they kind of expecting? Or like, did they have a counter?
Right. Well, here's the thing. So I'll just go into a little bit more detail. Sorry. So the original asking price, she wanted 450.
Uh-huh.
Um, but that included, because it's commercial, that included like some like leftover dental equipment. Like she's retiring, so she's just exiting out. Um, and then it include in that deal included like a client list. So
Okay.
the realtor, and he's been very helpful. I got to give him his credit. He called me and he said, "Hey, I just spoke with the seller. Good news, the property has dropped from 450 to 300." And he's like,
Oh.
I was like, "Why? Like the roof just cave in or something like that?" And he's like, "No,
Right.
she found a buyer for the client list, and she's not concerned about, she just wants to offload the property at this point." Um,
Oh, wow.
so that's,
Would it
the
make sense
verdict.
as a cash deal?
I'm sorry.
Would it make sense as a cash deal? Does it have to be creative?
Uh, yes and no. I mean, yes, it still makes sense as a cash deal. Yes, correct. Um,
Maybe I would just do that.
yeah,
But
yeah, you're right. But that's a good point. But I figure I'll try creative finance because
yeah.
one of the things that I look for is like entry
Oh,
costs.
sorry, I didn't quickly realize you had a.
So
Uh,
if you can, I'll try to get in at the lowest entry cost as possible. If she
yeah.
pushes
See,
back, then maybe go around to.
yeah, see what they say. See what they say, and then like maybe figure out if there's some kind of mortgage that like you would need to take care of, like if you were to buy it.
Right.
Just maybe you could ask that, like, yeah, is it like close to that? And if it sounds like if he's mentioned creative finance, it's like, can you tell me more about when y'all talked about seller finance? Like, is there a mortgage there? Would it be like a wraparound? Like, kind of get some of those details.
Mhm.
Approximately how much? And if there's no mortgage, then that's a pretty easy conversation. So
Got it.
just let me know whenever you get further down the line on that.
Yeah.
Just shoot me a DM or something or whatever. We can hop on a call and talk about it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Christian, what's up, man? Here, hold up.
Hey man, can you hear me?
Yeah, buddy. What's going on?
So I know you guys are strictly creative finance around here, but do you guys also? I know you guys are in the market in Clarksville. Do you guys do any I guess cash deals down there?
Yeah, actually, I had an agent send me one today that may be a good flip for a cash deal. So yeah.
Okay, so like you JV on Clarksville for
Yeah, dude.
buyers.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure. I thought you guys were just strictly sub two or something like that.
That's the problem with doing the group and the YouTube and the Instagram because it's like I want to be niched down where people are like, oh, like creative, and then like where we can like do deals together. But it's like we do probably half and half now, flips and creative, and yeah. So yeah, dude, I'd love to do a deal with you. That'd be fun.
All right, man. Yeah, I'll let you know. It's
Cool.
out 90 days out, so I'll let you know.
Okay. Please do, man. Good to
All
see
right.
you. I'm glad you showed up.
All right, man. Talk to you
Cool.
later.
You too, man. Marsyphilis.
Yeah, man. So what are your
Go.
thoughts on expired listings as a whole?
Um, that's a good question. Like for you?
No, not necessarily for me. The reason why it crossed my mind is because when we first met, you were strictly agents and you were crushing it. And then
Hmm.
I remember, well, maybe a year and a half ago, you made that transition to being direct to seller. And
Hmm.
then in my experience working with clients is that they go from if they start with agents, then they go to expired listings and then they go direct to seller in like a general broad list. That's my
Hmm.
experience. So I was curious, like I never really saw you
Yeah.
do like expired listings, at least not for an extended period of time.
Hmm. Yeah, I did actually, so I did expired listings before I did direct to agent.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so that was like the first thing I did. And so I got my first sub two deal. Got a sub two deal in like less than 30 days doing that. So you can do it. I think it's tough because it's like I think that was really good at the time. Like this is gonna try to like delve into this without getting too like into the weeds. Like with expired listings, it was good at the time when we were trying to get sub two deals because I didn't have to work with an agent. I could talk directly to the seller about sub two and an expired listing at that point, like was a higher likelihood that they had a good interest rate and it was expired and had like low equity, like they kind of had that pain point. But now it's like since most of the people that have low interest rates have equity now, it's like not all the time, but for the most part, right? Versus that time, it was like the timeline was so there wasn't a big delta between when you were contracting them and when it dropped out and like when they got the loan. Now it's been 2-3 years, and so a lot of those people have some equity, and so I think now we have to when we go direct to seller, instead of contacting just like basic expired listings, we try to contact people that we know have a problem. So I think it can work. I think you're just gonna have to sometimes call more people
Yeah.
because like that's the hard part is like expired listings. It's like there's so many reasons that a listing goes expired, and it doesn't always mean that they like couldn't sell it. Um, Sometimes it means they just didn't. I mean, Griffin would know that, him being an agent. Martin would know that, But what else do you think about? Like, what other list have you thought about?
I mean, of course, foreclosure,
Hmm.
auction,
Yeah.
probate. I mean, the usual stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, my thought process is that expired listings, there should be some level of motivation, but my thought is it fell out because it was just not a deal. And that's if it was a good deal, if someone actually had a good offer, then
Yeah.
they would have sold.
Yeah. I feel like expired listings could be good for I just think that sometimes like the expired list most of the expired listing deals that I got also had some kind of problem. Like they were also pre-foreclosure, also probate, or also something like that, or inheritance. So it's like that's when I was like, maybe I should just go directly to the problem instead of like trying to do a big one. But I think it can work. I honestly, I'll tell you the thing that I was interested in, and I haven't done this. If I had some more time, I would consider doing this, would be calling an expired listing list of people that have no mortgage and like pitching, trying to get 0% seller finance deals. Like that's what I would want to do. Because I think sub two deals are the ones that are kind of like, I don't know. It just seems like most of the expired listings now are going to be the ones that are like 6 and 7% rates. And it got so tough. That's why we got out of doing that. It's just like sifting through. I mean, Cindy can tell you it's like that was hell after a while. It's like every single lead we got was like 6, 7%. Like after we got to talk to someone, it's like, dude, this is brutal. So, because the pre-foreclosures or probates or the people that have equity and have a good rate, it's like those are the gold ones right now.
Yeah.
I don't
Makes
know.
sense.
Yeah, dude. When are you coming to Nashville?
I'll be there next week, actually.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. So I'll be there. I don't know. I think I land Friday.
You're trying to sneak around seeing me, man. You didn't even tell me. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I just bought my ticket, so
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I got you.
So I'll be there
Cool,
next week.
dude.
So
I'm
I'll
excited to
connect
see
with
you, man.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be fun. Your plants are well taken care of here.
I was going to ask you about them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing well. Gosh, I failed with a couple, but most of them are doing pretty good.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
That's good.
The Monstera is really liking the front window. It's doing well. So Marcelo came and dropped off like
Are you plant
20.
sitting?
Yeah, I'm
Foster,
plant sitting.
foster hunting?
I didn't even I guess I did kind of volunteer myself, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah. He officially adopted them. So
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
Jordan, did you have a question, Jordan?
Yeah, I was just wanted to piggyback on like the sub two combo. Are you
Mm-hmm.
seeing any language where you are? I mean, I'm in New York, so it's probably different where you are, but there's some pushback from title companies with the whole like sub two
Mm-hmm.
situation, especially like with distressed sellers. And I don't know if anyone has heard of this, but I don't think like they don't want you taking advantage of people's equity. It's actually called like equity theft or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of anything?
Marcelo, I'm gonna bring you to the spotlight. Tell him.
Yeah, for sure. So what you're referring to is called equity skimming. And equity skimming is where you'll buy a property, you'll buy it on credit terms like sub two, and then you intentionally default on the loan while still collecting cash flow. And then, so even though you're collecting money, you're making money on the property, you're essentially choosing not to pay and damage the seller. So that's that's generally considered a federal crime, especially in Florida. So yeah, unfortunately, that's a thing. Now, it's not illegal or you can't do sub two or anything like that, where what some people think. It's just that you can't intentionally damage someone's credit while still benefiting from the original agreement. That's the point.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if we're talking about equity, it's like if we're talking about equity, I mean, realistically, the fair like market price is what, someone is willing to sell it to you for, as long as they knew what they were doing, and it doesn't seem like there was any kind of like they weren't drunk when they signed or something like that, or they weren't in the right mental headspace. They had, you know, Alzheimer's or some kind of issue like that. Maybe they're bipolar, or you just never know. Things like that, like those are where you're gonna run into issues. But you seem, I mean, we just met, but I mean, you seem like a cool guy. You're trying to help people out, so it's like I don't think you're
Well,
gonna run into that
well,
problem.
what scared me in particular about that was there's a clause in there that says the seller has up to 2 years to reclaim their property uh, under I guess if they brought it to court or something like that. Um, and I was like, that's pretty strange. So I don't know.
Marcella, do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I do. So there's several states out there that have the ability where they classify the sellers as a protected class, more so in some states than others. I will say New York specifically is probably the worst. California is probably second. And
Yeah.
to be honest, I mean, doing creative deals in New York is more complicated than what's worth. So just because the attorneys need to be involved. There's drawbacks, there's clawbacks, there's a bunch of different stuff. So to be honest, if you're trying to do creative, New York is probably not it,
Yeah, that's tough.
unfortunately. Yeah.
And Marcelo is somebody that's him and his team, handled I don't know how many sub two deals a month. I mean, you probably handle what at the peak? I don't know, 30, 40, 50, 60, I don't know. Good
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, we
So,
average between like 50 to 70 a month. So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
You've seen enough.
Are you, Marcella, are you an attorney? Like, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, no. So we basically act as consultants, so we help people
Yeah.
structure deals and manage the transactions and stuff like that. So I've been involved in all kinds of deals you can imagine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, if you ever need his contact, or whatever, he's a just great dude and great investor to connect with too, because he's getting more on the investing side too. So,
Yeah.
cool. Well, anything else we have before we go? Want to make sure everyone
Hi.
gets their.
This is Juan. I'm actually new to your community.
Hey, Juan, nice to meet you, man.
I just learned about you yesterday, as a matter of fact.
That's not good. Where where
Uh,
where did you find me? I hope it was a good place.
well, no, I just learned of this school site, and I realized that there's other groups, so I was searching, and I saw you.
Oh,
So
cool. Well, I'm
yeah.
glad you're here. Thanks for coming.
No, no, thank you. I've been watching a couple of your videos. I've been going through what you put out there so far, and you have a lot of great information. I really, really appreciate it, to be honest.
Oh, thank you, man. That means a
Uh,
lot to me. We spend a lot of time doing it. Sometimes I'm like, is this worth it? But yeah, I'm glad you said.
learning from Martin.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. No, that's how you can tell it actually meant something to me. Thank you for saying that.
No, 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 thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm actually trying to get myself out there. I've never, I did two flips. I
Cool.
did one like probably like 5 years ago, and I haven't done anything since. But I'm trying
Okay.
to do things, like I use a hard money lender now. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
market, but I haven't done it myself because of that, the same reason, like you said, I don't want to be taking advantage of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like your approach. So
Oh, good, man. Good. So you're wanting to get back into it, and are you wanting to do like your next deal, for example? Would you want it to be a creative deal, like a rental, or would you want it to be a flip? Like, what do you think you're looking for?
I would like, if possible, I would like to be able to get a sub two deal.
Okay. Cool.
I've never done one.
Okay.
But hopefully I'm able to to do something like that.
Dude, yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than you think, I promise.
No,
It's not. It's not. It's only this is gonna sound so I don't know, guru-ish, but like it's only hard if you actually like believe that it's like difficult. I promise you it's not. The hard part is finding a seller that is finding a seller that's motivated and like getting contacts like that can be probably the tougher part. But once you have that, I mean, honestly, from there it's just like not messing it up. It's not like you got to be perfect at it. Um, do you feel like where are you located?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in Lawrenceville, but it's in Georgia.
Oh, cool. Dude, I'm going to Georgia this weekend. I'm going to Blue Ridge.
Oh,
Um
nice.
gonna go hang out with my girlfriend or going up to the cabin and um maybe go to the casino, try to win a few $100, have a good time. So that'll be fun. Um but okay, so you're in Georgia and would you want to buy something in that area, I'm assuming?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I would like, either in my area, this is Gwinnett County or Henry County, because I know those two areas.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I am able to, find something
Mhm.
that do make sense.
Yeah, dude. Maybe I can help you find something too. And you're wanting to kind of is the goal you think maybe to build like a rental portfolio or are you trying to do it for cash flow? Like what do you want?
Well, I would like to, I would definitely like to do that. I think at first maybe it'll be cash flow, uh,
Okay.
just to help us.
Mm-hmm.
Then, I would love to, I live in a house right now, right? But I went the conventional way.
Yeah. Nothing
Uh,
wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
and I know that there's a lot of people that, unfortunately they struggling, right? And maybe I'm able to help them and be able to find a house that will make so much more sense for me and my family.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. So maybe find like a primary residence too.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. There's some good resources out there to find these deals, like on Facebook. And you don't always have to be the person cold calling or the person negotiating. A lot of times, like with this, the goal with this community too is for like the people that want to cold call and go out there and like wholesale these deals to someone like you buying a deal or me or whatever, where they can make their fee. And we've built up a good group of people that are like ethical, that care about people, that are like trustworthy, where we can sell our deals kind of just in this community. I think that would be awesome. So, maybe you just become a buyer. You don't have to start calling unless you just want to. Um,
I want to do it, like, but
cool.
I do agree, like, it's definitely an exchange.
Yes, right.
I actually love this idea. I like the fact that you have this wide open for anyone to learn. So
Yeah, dude.
great.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you. Thank you for speaking up and saying something. It's nice to meet you. Hope to see you on more of these calls. I actually just sent you a something in our chat on school. I sent you a
Okay.
video on wraps specifically. I would watch that because like, we go in, it's about an hour long, and I go into talking about what wraps are versus rentals. And if you're looking for cash flow when you're first getting started, that might be a good place to at least look at. Because on these wraps, a lot of times where you're acting as the bank for somebody else, right? You pick up the property, you're acting as the bank, they pay you every month, and then you pay the mortgage. In those cases, like you can average, especially in your area, like I don't know median price point over there, but let's say it's anywhere from 300 to 400 or something like that. I mean, you can cash flow 900 to 1,000 a month on a property.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's pretty strong. I mean, we have one right now we're selling that it's like going to be probably 1,100 a month. So you can do that versus a rental. If I rented that same property, I'm breaking even or making $100.
Wow.
So if you want cash flow, I would look at that. If you want long-term appreciation and pay down and the tax benefits and all that, then rentals are good. And so maybe you just kind of pick your spots.
Yeah, I think eventually I could think about a lot, long term, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but in the meantime, I guess just starting out, the cash flow will definitely be a great help.
I think so too. And the added benefit that people don't talk about is the cash flow comes from number one, having a set amount every month that gets paid that doesn't change as repairs come up. So you don't have to fix the roof, the HVAC, because you're not the owner of the property, you're just the bank. So
Yeah.
that's a huge thing, number one. Because I have a rental property this year that I've had to spend like 8,000 bucks on.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
like that's a lot of money. Think about how much that is per month. What, 700 a month?
Mm-hmm.
Your cash flow is wiped. You know what I mean? Like if you're looking at it that way versus if I wrapped that property, I wouldn't have that expense. I'd get paid every single month the same amount. Second thing,
A
when
big
taxes and
mentality shift.
yes, right. Well, you reduce the you don't have the liability of home ownership, you know, because it is an asset, but sometimes I think anyone that's owned property can tell you it's also a liability sometimes. It's not always ideal. So,
Hey, Evan.
Right.
Marcella, you haven't had any problems with houses, right? Everything's been good for you. No one's tried to sneak into your house. Yeah.
No, all the houses I have, they all have problems.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's how it
What
is.
are your opinions on like DSCR loans for Juan? Do you think that would be a good fit for him if he wanted to keep?
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. It could be. I can't speak too much on that because I'm doing my first one.
Okay.
So I'm doing my first one, but maybe you could tell them about it real quick before we hop off.
Sure. I mean, I've been involved in several, but the DSCR loans, the benefit is the fact that you don't have to qualify using your own, really your credit, your background, or anything like that. You mentioned that you flipped houses. Like, what do you do professionally? Like, what's your main thing?
Well, I work for a managed care company in New York.
Okay. Got it.
So so I'm just one of the managers.
Okay. And then do you currently have any rental properties now or?
No, no, no. The only property I have is the one I live on right now.
Okay. And then, so the reason I bring this up is because I grew up in Gwinnett County, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Lawrenceville, Beaufort, like the whole piece.
Right.
So I've had people bring me deals in Jonesboro and Lawrenceville, and those only worked as a DSCR loan. So, and basically, as long as the property can pay for itself through the rental, projected rental income, then you can essentially qualify for that loan. So for people who are independent contractors or they work for themselves or they're not considered bankable in the traditional sense, a lot of times they lean on DSCR loans to, acquire properties. So I don't know, what would be the bottleneck for you? Is it the down payment? Is it qualifying for a loan? Is it just finding good deals? Like what's the biggest bottleneck?
Well, the down, we have some for down payment, right? But I was thinking to go, with the sub two so that I don't have to go so much out. That was really it. And then I was, we were thinking to buy to rent, but I've been hearing a lot of videos that it doesn't make sense to rent. Um, so what
Yes.
is, so can I ask you a question? Because Evan was just saying, like it doesn't make sense sometimes to rent, but so if you have a DSR loan and you rent, what is the difference there? And
I mean, Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it never really makes sense to rent unless you're willing to hold the property for 5 years and bank on appreciation and tax write-offs. And in this
Yeah.
market, cash flows in general is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Pretty much.
yeah,
Even the ones that are 2.5, 2.3%, it's like
yeah,
even those aren't really cash flowing, it's just at least here in Tennessee, it's very, very tough. Unless
yeah.
you're gonna get a deal like so deep where it's like their mortgage is 100 grand and you take that over sub two and the property is worth 230. But then it's like at that point, like you probably should just flip it and take the cash. I don't know. That's just like how I think about it. So it's like I think that is tough. It really, really is. And I think the rentals that I've kept have been either like I posted one a YouTube video the other day about one that we got at 0% interest for a 30-year term. And it's like a $600,000 house. So that one is like gold mine of deals. Like I'm not gonna sell that. You know what I mean? Every month it gets paid down. So that makes sense, even if it broke even, but the payment's so low, it still cash flows really well. So like that's one I'll keep, right? This one, so I bought this house on seller finance. This is my personal residence where I live. I bought this like 3 years ago. Same thing, like 2% rate or 2.5% rate, 30-year term, no balloon. Like the mortgage is 600 a month. It rents for 2,200. Like if I rented it out, like that's a good rental, right? A one that we just picked up, we're gonna do a DSCR loan on, like Marcelo said, where with a DSCR loan in general, there's a couple ways to do it. Like one would be you could just buy it on the market and just go get a loan for it. But what most like investors that are like actively want to do more deals to keep their money out of it, right? They'll go raise hard money like you've done before. They'll buy the house. Let's say it's 100,000, $100,000 house is what it's worth. They buy it for 70, right? So they get a 70% discount or whatever, 30% discount. They do it, they renovate it, blah blah blah. They rehab it, and then they refinance it, and they pull that cash back out basically. So they get a loan for $70,000 or 75,000 from the DSCR lender, right?
Yes.
And so at that point, it's like, okay, you didn't have to. He's saying that the thing with the DSCR that's nice is they base it on the asset itself, like the home and what it rents for and that kind of thing, versus just looking at you and your income and all that kind of stuff.
I got it. No, that makes sense, and I follow what you said about the hard money and
Yeah, you
and
get it.
the art loan.
Yeah.
So one quick question about that. So if I was to get a DSCR loan, how does it normally? So I know it's based on the asset and the rental, right? But when it comes to a down payment and that, do I need to come out like with 5%, 10%? How does that usually work?
Yeah, I mean, it's about 25%, I would imagine, right, Evan? I mean, that the down basically, if you're concerned about down payment, don't even consider DSCR loans unless you can do what Evan talked about, which is you own the property for a period of time where you can qualify for a new loan through refinance without having to make a down payment because you already own the property. So
Mhm.
if down payment is the concern, I wouldn't
Yeah.
consider DSCR loans unless you can buy deep like the way Evan likes to do it.
Okay.
Right. Because basically that's a good point. So basically like the same example, $100,000 house. It's on the market, right? If you go buy that house for $100,000, well, when you go through a DSCR lender, they're going to want to be in a safe position, right?
Yes.
So they don't want to have a loan for 100,000. They want to have a loan for what? 75 maybe. So that means that you're going to have to bring the additional 25. Now, if you buy the house for cheaper for 75 or 70, now all of a sudden you probably don't have to bring the down payment. That's what we're trying to say.
I
Yeah.
got it. I got it. It makes sense. And it makes sense because originally you bought the asset for very low. You bought at a discount, you added value to it. Now you do a refinance, you're not gonna refinance it for the whole thing. You're refinancing it for
Right.
just to get back whatever you put in.
Dude, any lender will give you a loan if they're only at 50, 60% of the value,
I got it.
So because it's the safest position to be in.
Can you
So
guys can you guys speak on how you like briefly how you structure like the wrap scenario?
yeah. So I would watch that video on YouTube if you know where that is. Subscribe to the channel, baby. Let's go. We just started it a couple weeks ago, but no, I used to be on social media all the time and I stopped doing it because it was a distraction, but I'm kind of enjoying doing it again. So
By the way, I found you through that video of the 0% interest $600,000 property.
really?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's crazy, dude. Wow. I've gotten so much hate on that video. It's hilarious, actually.
really. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. People were like, oh, she's so stupid and you took advantage of her. I'm like, bro, if you knew the whole
It was
situation and
smart. It was
also,
smart. I understood it exactly, play for play. I mean, it's very reminiscent of like what I'm going
yeah.
through, similar.
Yeah, dude, totally. I'm gonna send you a link to another video, which is that rap video that I was just talking about. I would watch that because it explains it like very in depth.
Okay.
Um, but essentially with the wrap, what you're doing is you're picking up a property that has some kind of existing financing, ideally.
Mhm.
So because if you bought it cash, right? If you bought it cash and you own or finance it, there's no wrap because there's no financing. You just own it outright, free and clear. That would just be straight owner financing, right? Now with a wrap, what you're doing is you're taking your existing terms of, let's say you take $100,000 mortgage sub two, and the payment's $1,000 a month. You sell it to Marcelo and you want to rip him off, so you charge him 15% because nobody likes Marcelo, right? So we're going to charge him 15%. Yeah, his payment's $3,000 a month. Okay. He's the owner of the property now. You're just the bank. You're receiving 3,000 a month from him. You take that 3,000. You still have to pay the underlying financing, the sub two or the seller finance, whatever, more, or maybe even a mortgage. You got a DSCR loan. It could be any mortgage, any financing, and you pay that $1,000. So you keep the difference in between. You keep the 2,000. It on paper it sounds a lot like a rental, but you just are not. You're just a lender. You don't
Are you
deal with
guys
repairs. There's no vacancy. Yeah.
are you just utilizing like a servicing company for because essentially there's like payment for payment, right? So it's like your payment from the new buyer coming in, and then you're issuing out that mortgage payment. So how do you do
Mhm.
all that, I guess,
Yeah.
without going haywire, you know?
Yeah, we use a service called Moneylender Pro. And Moneylender Pro is pretty good for like receiving the payment from the buyer. But when we go to pay the mortgage, usually I just pay the mortgage directly.
Okay,
I just set it up on automatic payments. That's how I do it.
gotcha.
I just sent you a link to that rap video too.
Cool. Thank you.
Definitely go check it out. So cool. Let me know if you have any questions on it. Thank y'all for being here. Sorry, and for the guys that, man, y'all are warriors. The people that stayed here for an hour and a half, y'all must love this group or something. Love y'all. Hope you have a great week. Let me know if you need anything.
All right.
Take care.
Marcelo,
Okay,
let's
thank
talk,
you.
dude.
Great day.
All right.
Sure.
See y'all. Bye.